And we are live. Welcome everybody for this live stream on how to make your first $1,000 as a blockchain developer. So we often hear people talking of how they make six figures, so much money, etc. But we don't often hear, okay, well, how do we get started? How do we just the first gig? How did it actually happen? And this is what we're going to talk about here. So I see already a couple of people in the chat. So let me know where you guys are from. So we have Totaling, ARC, Shahid, Nawaz. Hi everybody. Let me know where you guys from. So with this, let's get started. I'm going to show you my screen. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about in detail today. So I'm going to briefly tell you my story, how I got started as a freelance blockchain dev, then the job market for Solidity specifically for freelancer, then the roadmap to learn Solidity if you want to be a freelancer, then how you can make money as a Solidity dev once again for the freelance market. And then I will tell you about our Solidity Bootcamp, and then we'll do a Q&A. So I see some people in the chat here. We have a Confusion from Kenya, Julian V, Shahid Pakistan, THX, Totally ARC, Ute. Okay, awesome. So with this, let's get started with my story. So promise it's not going to be too long, but it's going to be interesting. So for those who are new here, so I'm Julian, the founder of Eat the Blocks, French guy from Paris. Yes, and I love my baguette. And unfortunately, I don't live in France right now, so I have a lot of difficulty to eat my baguette. It's one of the hardest part of my life. But hey, we all have our little things, huh? So I started my career not in France, but in this beautiful city of Hong Kong, where I used to work in finance. And at that time, so I was working at the top of this building, and I wanted to be the next Lord of Wolf of Wall Street, but unfortunately it didn't work, and I ended up like this guy, not having a job. So after that, I made a move here in the beautiful island of Taiwan, and basically I completely changed my career here. Finance wasn't really my thing. I wanted a little bit more freedom, and I also really fell in love with coding. And so I started to learn coding, and thanks to this, I was able to work online, and it was great. And so I started from really easy stuff with PHP and WordPress, like a lot of people. And this is great to get started. I got my first customers like this, but after a few years, I have to say that I started to be really frustrated because I could only get really shitty customers, like nothing was sustainable. I always had to struggle to find the next customer, and it just didn't pay that much. And just it was far from my dreams at the beginning. When I got started in as a programmer, I heard of these beautiful stories of these guys who make like six-figure remote, etc., and it just wasn't me. So I was kind of torn between my passion for coding and it's just my career that wasn't really taking off. So what should I do? And so I decided to change my strategy. And so here's what I wanted. So first of all, I wanted something well paid. I was tired just going from all these poor customer. I wanted something reliable. I didn't want something where I needed to. It was hard to get the next job, and I wanted something remote because I'm good here where I am in Asia. I can go in any country I want. I often travel during the year. All I need is basically a connection to the internet connection. I book an Airbnb and I can go anywhere. And this is the lifestyle that I want. I don't want to have to go to any office. So those were my requirements. So I devised this strategy, okay, and I said, okay, I think I need to do a couple of things. So first of all, I need to specialize, and because before, I was like this very broad web developer, like I didn't have any specific. It was WordPress and PHP, but not very very specific. Like too many people know how to do this, so I needed to specialize a little bit more, and if possible, in a niche where people actually have money. Okay, because WordPress, PHP, nobody has money there. So Solidity and blockchain were really taking off, and I noticed this. And I was really in love with blockchain, really. So I thought, okay, well, that might be a good idea to specialize in this. So I just removed WordPress, PHP from my CV. I removed a lot of things, and I started to emphasize blockchain and Solidity. Then I started to really lower my expectation, because before, basically what I was doing is I was applying to this job offer. Hey, like wanna get a job remotely for 6 figure, and I think it was a little bit too much, because I was still a junior with not much impressive to put on my CV. So I was like, maybe I'm missing an intermediate step. Maybe I'm missing something. And what I was missing is the freelancing part. Okay, when you go from tutorials to actually having done something for a customer, when someone actually gave you money for your coding skill. It doesn't matter that it's a lot of money when you get started, but it matters that it actually happened, because you start to gain a little bit of confidence, and then with this little bit of confidence, you can build on top of it. But before that, when you're stuck with the tutorial and it didn't happen yet, you're really stuck, and it's just really hard to get that first job. So yeah, I decided to lower my expectation. And the third part of my strategy was also to build my personal brand. So using social media. So I created this YouTube channel, Eat the Blogs, and started to post content also about Solidity on LinkedIn. And turns out this strategy was just brilliant, because very, very quickly, in just a matter of months, I was flooded by people in my inbox, either proposing freelance gig or even full-time job. And I ended up doing conferences about blockchain everywhere. And so I started to have blockchain gigs really well paid. And within actually just a couple of months, I ended up getting a full-time 6-figure job. So look, I'm not saying that everybody will have exactly the same trajectory as I did, but at least for the blockchain gig, yes, this is definitely something that can happen in a matter of months. So here is, now we're going to talk of the context of the job market for Solidity. How is it right now in 2024, especially for freelancers? Okay, so first of all, when we talk of Solidity job, it's always tempting to look at the crypto market. And yes, it does have an influence. It's always good when the market is good. But even if that wasn't the case, Solidity in blockchain, this is a long-term trend. So we shouldn't be restricted by the crypto market. But anyway, it's always good when there is a good, I'm always happy to take a good news, right? So right now, we are in this bull market that started last year, even though at the moment we are a little bit in a downtrend. But come on, in a bull market, it's not only positive, okay? So the overall trend is still very, very positive. So at the beginning of the year, we had this approval of the Bitcoin ETF. We all expecting potentially the approval of an Ethereum ETF later this year, which will be another huge catalyst for the market and so for Solidity jobs. We had an Ethereum ETF in Hong Kong, which is where a lot of Chinese people channel their money, and there are a lot of rich people in Hong Kong. So potentially also another catalyst for Ethereum. And the interest rate is really, really high. So we're all waiting for the moment when the Fed is going to decrease the interest rate, because this is going to be a trigger for the equity market, which ultimately which will translate into a bull run on crypto, which ultimately will translate into more job for Solidity. So I know that those things like macroeconomic might seem not relevant, but they are actually relevant. And so we are all waiting for the next leg of the bull market, and hopefully by the end of this year. But here's the problem. So we are, in this really, really good context. But what happened, when you're a junior blockchain dev and you try to get your first job? Okay, so you send some application, and most likely one of the most common answer you will receive is, "Hey man, hey you're too junior. We want a senior dev." So it basically is the same problem as when you want to go to a club and they tell you, "Oh, like you need to know someone to get in the club," and you say, "Well, yeah, I mean, maybe if you let me in the club, maybe I will know someone so that next time I can show you someone that I know." Same thing with jobs. Well, if you let me have a junior job, next time I won't be junior. So it's really, really frustrating when you hear this sentence. Now, a lot of time actually, it's not always true. They don't always want senior. So it's not true 100% of the time. A lot of time they just exaggerate their requirements, but still, like it can be quite frustrating. So you have this chicken and egg problem, and how do you solve this? Well, you solve this by basically lowering your expectation and going for freelance work. Basically, so you have a platform like this, like Upwork, where you can find a lot of freelance work for blockchain dev, and basically you completely short circuit. The whole. Application job application process, because you first gain experience with this freelance gig, and then you will be able to get a full-time job, because now you have some experience, that provable professional experience. And so all these freelance gig, like the barrier is just much lower, because basically those are teams with lower budgets. So because they have a lower budget, they also cannot afford the most senior dev. So that's why you have a shot, really. So sometime maybe you will see some customers on this platform that are crazy, that are asking for crazy things with no budget. This is normal, like some of them are like this, but you will also find some who are reasonable and who understand the situation. So basically this is how you would do it. You completely short circuit the project, you accumulate experience like this, and then if you want, you can go for the remote job, but you don't have to. There are plenty of people who are happy as freelancer. If you want, you can. It's really, really possible to scale your revenue as a freelancer to go to 6-figure a year, or even multiple 6-figure a year, developing an agency, for example. And there are many different ways that you can niche down as a freelancer, and we will talk about this later. But yeah, I think for total beginner with zero experience, this is probably the best way to get started. Right, so I'm gonna give you a couple of examples here of jobs that I found on Upwork, and keep in mind, I just find this. Okay, so today I went on Upwork and I found those jobs. So basically, if you go on Upwork, you will find those jobs. I didn't just created them. So here 2 hours ago, for example, a job to create a token on Pulse Chain. This is basically a clone of Ethereum. So yeah, $500. It's a low budget, but also it seems like what they need to do is pretty simple. So it's a pretty simple job. RWA token creator. So it's a little bit a more complex kind of token. So without going into the detail of what this token is, $3,000. So you see now it's like a better, a more healthy budget, I would say. And this is something that will take you between 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how fast you do it. tokenomics specialist. So basically someone who can give recommendation about what parameter to use for a token. So this is not strictly in the scope of blockchain dev, but this is kind of an extra skill that you can pick up. And you can still sell your expertise, and you see that hourly they can pay roughly up to $50. I mean, this is the negotiable, but yeah, it's pretty interesting job here. Coin development. So you have jobs that are short term, where it can be just 1 day, 1 week, and you have jobs that are kind of in the middle, where we're talking of several months. So here they need a token developer for a couple of months. That's probably part-time. And here, like, you can see that at some point, this is where it gets really interesting, is that freelancing at some point, you go in the area where it's between freelancing and full-time job, and this is where you can get this full-time employment, where you can get your without going the crazy application process of all those six-figure jobs that get advertised and that are very, very demanding. Here, there will be no application process. You just the selection process to get this job is probably much easier than a six-figure job, and at the end, you might end up with actually a six-figure job. So I think it's pretty. It's basically a loophole in the system, okay? And very few people know about this. So this is something that was posted really, really recently. So you can see on Upwork, really, there are a lot of opportunities. And this is just one website. There are many other websites for freelancing. And keep in mind that all of these jobs, you can do them remotely, okay? This is not something where you actually have to go to an office. It doesn't matter where you are. Most of the time, the communication will be async with Discord, for example. So oftentimes, you don't even have to have a Google Meet or a call, etc. So really, what you can do is you do like me. You go to live in countries that are with a lower cost, and then you make your nice income of Solidity dev, and you can pocket in the difference, basically. So now freelance. I mentioned freelancing very quickly. I will still mention a job. So once you accumulate those freelance jobs, these freelance gig, at some point you can try to get a full-time job. You don't have to, but this is an option you have. And there are also a lot of websites with a lot of job advertisement for full-time job. And then there is what we call the hidden job market. So what you see on all these platforms, on all these websites, this is the visible part of the iceberg, but actually, like in any job market, most of the jobs aren't even advertised, and there are other ways to get those unadvertised jobs, and I will talk about this after. But all in all, there is really a lot of potential as a Solidity developer. So here, just to give you some reference for full-time job, as a junior, you can make six-figure, and then it gets much higher than this once you have more experience, especially if you start to be really if you are specialized in something specific, and we will talk about those niche after. All right. Okay. So now I mentioned the job market for Solidity, but what about what you need to do to get there? What is the roadmap to learn Solidity? So let's talk about this. So there are three technology that I would recommend. The first one is Ethereum. Okay, so you have a couple of blockchains. There are actually not just a couple, many of them. But there is one that has basically won the technological war, the same way as Linux has won the war on servers, for example. Ethereum is the clear winner at this time. Okay, so don't get sucked into like useless arguments. You will see people on Twitter saying, oh, blah, 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 oh, Solana more scalable, oh, blah, 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 this or this blockchain. No. Who cares? Ethereum won. At the end of the day, you have as when an ecosystem reaches a certain size, it just becomes impossible for others to catch up because you have so much in place already. You have this huge ecosystem of developer tools, of developers, of users, of wallets, etc. Now it's absolutely sure that the future belongs to Ethereum. On top of it, Ethereum, so this is a blockchain, but this is a network, but also a technology for blockchain. And you have a lot of other network that use the technology of Ethereum, but without mentioning it clearly. So a lot of blockchain, they advertise their name and they say, oh, we are super scalable, brand new technology, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's still based on Ethereum, and the technical term for that is EVM based. EVM means Ethereum Virtual Machine. So when you see EVM based, it means this is Ethereum, and so everything you learn for Ethereum, this is also applicable to this blockchain. So same programming language for smart contracts, same framework, same API, same everything. So in the blockchain of Ethereum, we deploy smart contracts. Okay, they are the small programs that make Ethereum so special. And those smart contracts, they are mostly coded in a programming language that we call Solidity. So there are a couple of other languages for smart contracts, but Solidity is number one. Okay, so that's the one you need to learn. And beside this, we also need a framework to help us for two things. To help us for deployment. So when we want to deploy our smart contract to the blockchain, that's basically the same thing as when you push your code to a server like AWS. And we also need Foundry when we want to write tests, and tests are super important for smart contracts. So this is basically the tech stack that you need to learn to become a Solidity developer. All right, so now let's talk a little bit of let's be a little bit more specific and try to understand in more detail what we need to know. So you will need to start with if you're a complete beginner, start with the basics of blockchain and Ethereum. Okay, how does a blockchain work? What kind of data structure does it have? And the same thing with Ethereum. Then you will need to learn the Solidity language. So Solidity kind of look like JavaScript, but this is just on the surface. To get started, it's easy, but then if you want to be really good, it's actually, you need to pay attention because this is actually quite different from JavaScript. So don't get tricked and think, oh yeah, I just need to know a few things about Solidity. No. Solidity looks easy, but it's not so easy. So you need to take time to really understand all the little details of the language. Then the next thing you need to learn is smart contract testing. So the big problem with a smart contract is that contrary to some code that you deploy on a server, with a smart contract, after you deploy it, it's impossible to modify it, to change it. There is no update possible. So you need to make sure that the code is 100% correct without any bugs. And this is very similar to the code in an embedded device like hardware, the code in C, for example. This is some very sensitive code. And so we need to test this code a lot. So let's say you have 100 lines of code in Solidity. That means the test for this smart contract are maybe like 4 or 5 times this. So actually, as a smart contract dev, you will spend even more time testing your smart contract than just writing the smart contract in itself. All right, so just give me 1 second, pause, rehydration. All right. So next thing to learn is smart contract deployment. So you need to understand how you can write deployment script. So this is small script where you explain how you are going to deploy a smart contract, what kind of parameters you are going to give, etc. And this is a very sensitive time because you actually spend real money when you deploy a smart contract. It can be $50, $100, etc. So you don't want to make a mistake. So otherwise it's like, yep, $50 gone, man. You want to do it again? So very, very sensitive operation. You also need to learn about smart contract security. Why is that? So basically, with smart contract, we manipulate a lot of money, and this money is like a honeypot for hackers. Hackers, they steal all this money and they just want to steal it. So what they do is that they will check your code, and if they find any bug, any security vulnerability, they will steal the money right away. They will find a way to exploit it, and all the money is gone. So that's why security is super important. So the way you will learn security is basically by learning the different patterns, the patterns to keep your smart contract safe, because there are some known attack vector that we know, so we can avoid this. Now, some hackers are really smart and they can still go around this and be creative and find some new attack vectors. And so this is why we also have smart contract audits. I will talk about this after. But even if you're not a smart contract auditor, just a smart contract developer, you still need to be good at security. Then another area that you need to dig is EVM and YOL. So EVM, this means the Ethereum virtual machine. So that's the part of Ethereum that runs smart contracts. And you need to understand this execution environment, how the smart contracts are executed in the blockchain, because this is quite different from a normal program. So you need to understand that. And YOL, this is a spatial low-level language for smart contracts that allow you to have very fine-grained control over how your smart contract work. And that's actually a great way to learn the EVM. And so you have many beginners who know nothing about the EVM and YOL. So if you know this is a huge edge that you will have over the competition. And then gas optimization. So this is when you optimize your code to reduce the transaction fee for the user. So when a user sends a transaction on the blockchain, they actually have to spend money to interact with this smart contract. And sometimes it can be a lot of money. And so when you multiply this by the huge volume of transaction in smart contract, it can represent millions of dollars. So if you just reduce the gas consumption, basically the transaction fee, by let's say 5 or 10%, that's potentially hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars saved. So that's a very, very important part. And finally, the last thing you need to do is to learn a very specific task from A to Z. So beside basic Solidity, to get your first freelance gig, you need to know a very, very specific task. And so that basically you are operational from day one. And I'm gonna make a suggestion, because there are a couple of tasks that you can do out there, but there is one that I think is a very, very good idea. All right, so those are all the things that you need to learn. So now we talk about this. Let's talk of how we can make money with Solidity. So once we learn those skills, how we can actually transform this into actual money and make our first $1,000 with our skills. So there are different options, but the one I recommend is freelance. Okay, for total beginner, freelance is always going to be way easier than getting a job or building your project as an entrepreneur. So yeah, this is really what you should do. Now there are, as a blockchain developer, there are different flavors. So I want to give you an overview of the different ways that you can specialize, and then I will give you my recommendation. So first of all, you could be a full stack blockchain developer, meaning that you do the front end of a blockchain application, like in JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and you also do the smart contract part in Solidity. So you do everything. You're basically a jack of all trades. Then you can just be a Solidity dev. You say, hey, I just do the smart contract. The front end, you find someone else. I'm not doing that. I'm just doing Solidity. Then you can be a smart contract auditor. So basically your job is to review the code of smart contract and try to find some bugs. And if that's the case, then you will be paid for these bugs. And then basically, and this can pay pretty well. You can be even more specialized than Solidity. You can just specialize in one part of Solidity, like gas optimization. There are some people who just do this. You can be specialized in it for a specific application, like DeFi. This is basically all those financial applications like Uniswap. You can be specialized in NFT, in games. And there is a last thing, a little bit obscure, MEV. This is basically a trading bot that uses smart contract and Solidity. All right, so you have a lot of choices here. So what do I recommend, especially for a freelancer? Well, you can actually combine some of them. So you can be a Solidity dev specialized in DeFi, and more specifically, even you can be specialized in token creations. Okay, so tokens, they are basically the assets, that those assets like ERC20, for example, that are on the blockchain, and so people speculate on them, and they're also used as a governance for a lot of protocols. Right now we have this meme coin frenzy where everybody is trying to build the next meme coin. But when you think about it, on the blockchain, pretty much at the base of it, everything is a token, really. So you have to start with this because there is a huge demand of tokens, absolutely huge. There are billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars invested in token. And so as a result, there is a lot of work in this. So where to find your first freelance gig to create a token? Well, as I mentioned before, Upwork is great, and you'll find plenty of demand for token creation there. And you can also check some other job boards. So we have some crypto job board like Crypto Job List. You can also go on LinkedIn and Indeed. So on those platforms, usually it's more for jobs, but sometimes they also have some freelance gig there. Then another element very important to get your first freelance gig is that would be nice to have a nice portfolio. So by portfolio, what do we mean? So there are different ways you can do it, but a very simple way is just to be active on GitHub. So on GitHub, we can see your activity. We can see how often you push some commit to GitHub. So if we see that you don't have anything there, it's not good. Okay, so it's good to start to push some code regularly to GitHub, have a couple of projects, if possible, that are relevant. So I mentioned token. You could try to create a couple of token projects. Then blog. So basically a blog allow you to, once you're in touch with a customer and they want to make sure that you're someone serious, if you have a blog and you talk of relevant topics, it can help them, make them feel like you know what you're talking about. And this is not very difficult. Maybe you just need something like 5-10 articles, and you don't even need to be super original. But and now with ChatGPT, really, you can get some blog created super easily, and you can use something like WordPress, for example. So it's probably like one day of work to really help you for credibility. So, and really that's enough for a first freelance gig. There is nothing else more evolved than you need. Social media can help you a lot. Be active on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is great. Twitter is a little bit harder. Networking, so going to real life events like meetups, going to conferences. So personally, I got my first freelance gigs by going to a meetup about crypto. It was a presentation about Ethereum. That was here in Taipei a couple of years ago, and I just showed up, and at the end, people were discussing, and there's just one guy who came to me and said, "Hey, are you a blockchain dev?" I said yes, and he was like, "Oh, are you looking for a job?" And I said yes, and boom, first freelance gig just like that. So in real life events are great for that because the competition is way lower. Because in a certain geographical area, you can only have so many people, right? So if you make the effort of going there, that's going to help you a lot. And yeah, so this is basically how you can get your first $1,000 freelance gig, and this can happen in a couple of months, really. So what do we do from here? Do I just stop the video here and I let you on your own trying to trying to make it happen. Well, the reality is that some of you will probably make it happen, but most people probably not. You will just say, yeah, nice presentation, bro, but whatever. So I wanted to help you a little bit more than this. And so this is why I'm going to introduce you my Solidity Bootcamp. So this is a 1 month program where you will become a Solidity professional. You will be able to make your first $1,000 as a Solidity developer. So this is a special edition just for total beginner who want to get started as freelancer. And this is, after this bootcamp, you will absolutely be able to get your first gig. You will be able to work remotely, so no need to go to the office. And in terms of the core curriculum, so basically, we're going to cover everything that you need to get started. So first, we're going to cover the basics of blockchain and Ethereum. Then we're going to cover Solidity coding, basic to advanced. Smart contract testing, as I mentioned before, extremely important. You will know how to test smart contracts, simple one, but also advanced one. We will teach you all the patterns, and we will use Foundry, which is the best framework for that, basically. We will teach you smart contract deployment, so you will know how to deploy smart contract from the beginning to the end. And we will teach you also smart contract security, so you will know how to code safe smart contract, which is extremely important. You know, a lot of beginner in Solidity, they don't even they try to find their first gig without even knowing 10% of that. They just watch a tutorial on YouTube, then they get rejected from everything, and they wonder why. Well, that's because they are missing a lot of skills. So we're going to teach you all those skills that you need. Then EVM and YAML. So we're going to do a deep dive into the EVM. You will understand it very, very well. You will be very confident in your skill. And we're going to cover YAML, so which is this low-level programming language for smart contracts. Then we're going to cover gas optimization. So you will know this is one more skill that you will have. And then I mentioned that you also need one specific task, that you need to do one specific task from A to Z. If you want to get started as a Solidity dev, as a freelancer, you need to be very specific, okay? So that you can say, hey, I'm a token developer. Now people will take you seriously. Okay, you know what you're talking about. And so there is a whole module on token development where you will learn everything. So how to customize a token, not just the basic ERC20 token, but how to customize it, how the distribution of the token. So you have different way to do it. Fair launch, for example, ICO, airdrop. We will also teach you how to provide liquidity to an exchange like Uniswap, and how to burn the liquidity. And so all of this, basically, with all those skills, what's really great is that you can go on Upwork or on any freelancing website and say, hey, I'm going to offer you a package, token creation. I can do everything from A to Z. Like I can implement the token. I can do gas optimization. I can create a safe token. I can deploy it. I can also advise you on the tokenomics. And so as a customer, this is very appealing to have a developer that is really specialized like this, because basically you are very, very trustable instead of just a random guy that just followed the 1 hour tutorial on YouTube on Solidity and that's it. No. With this, you will have a very specific skill that can unlock you, that can unstuck you. Really, this is what you are missing before you can really get started. So in terms of technology, we're going to cover the most important one, Ethereum, Solidity, Foundry. This is where you have the most demand on the job market, really. And we're also going to have code review. So basically, you're going to have homework, and we are going to provide feedback. So this is great because, on all those video courses, you never really have this. You just watch it passively. Sometimes you try to do it yourself, but not always. And if you make a mistake, there is zero feedback. And so it's very, very hard to learn like this. But in this bootcamp, you actually have this critical feedback that you are missing so much otherwise. And And so yeah, I mean, our students really, really love this part. Access to all the recording of the lecture. So this is live classes, but if you miss it, it's okay because you have access to the recording. You also have access to a private Discord where you can ask all questions you want. You will have a customized answer. And we also give you a review of your Upwork, LinkedIn, and GitHub profile. So that's so valuable because so many people have such a shitty marketing. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a developer, so I know what I'm talking about. Usually developers suck at marketing, but they suck so bad. Like I see the profile of some of my students, I'm like, hey, no wonder you came here, because with a profile like this, you will never find anything. Okay, so it's not very complicated. You just need to spend something maybe like 1 hour on it, but with the right advice, you can make yourself so much more appealing for customers, and we will help you for that. All right, so let's recap. So we'll give you the core curriculum of the bootcamp. So the value of this really is $3,000. Then code review, we could charge another $3,000 for that. Lecture recording, another $250. Lifetime access to the Discord community, another $250. Review of all your profile, another $500. So the total is $7,000. So what do we do? Do you have $7,000? Well, you don't need to, because we will only charge you $750. Okay, so knowing that within 3 months, and I'm being very, very conservative, within 3 months, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're gonna find your first freelance gig paid at least $1,000. Okay, let's be even super pessimistic. Let's say in 3 months you find only one freelance gig at $500. Okay, it's a really bad one. Okay, $500. Well, after this $500 gig, probably you're gonna find another one at least at the same price. So at least between 3 to 6 months, really in the worst case scenario, but I've never seen that, you will more than repay for the bootcamp. And from there, it's only profit. And within 6 months, 1 year or more, depending on your profile, some of you will also be able to get a full-time job if you want, but you don't have to. All right, so we have 30 seats available for this bootcamp. So we already had a couple of students who enrolled in the pre-sale. So we only have 23. So it's a limited enrollment, and that's because we have live classes. So it's just not possible to have as many people as possible, because otherwise the quality of the teaching will be impacted. So we have to limit this. So if you want to register for the bootcamp, you go to etheblogs.com/bootcamp. So I'm going to give you the link in the chat. All right, so let me see. Yeah, I just put it in the chat, etheblogs.com. So let me show you I'm going to show you how it works. So basically, you go to this page, etheblogs.com. You click here on enroll today. So you have some student testimonial if you want to check them. You have some FAQ there, and then after you click on enroll now, and you'll be able to you'll secure your seat. All right. So what about our students? So we started Etheblogs in 2017. So far, for all the courses we did since the beginning, we had more than 15,000 students who took our paid courses. And I wanted to share with you a couple of students' feedback. So here's someone who got his first Solidity job in 2 months, six-figure job. Here's someone who took the bootcamp recently. So I've tried learning Solidity with Udemy courses, but I didn't get it. When I did the Etheblogs bootcamp, I finally got it. Someone who got his first Solidity job after our training. Someone who got 2 offers from 2 employers. Someone who became a blockchain developer at Bioeconomy. It's a famous blockchain company. We also have students who created their own blockchain projects. So here, a Microsoft developer who who created his own DEX. Then we have the creator of some DeFi protocol, that FutureSwap. They raised $12 million. A creator of Secure Finance and API for Web3. They raised a couple of $1 million. So look, I'm not saying that you will all have as much success as these guys, but the promise I make to you is that after a couple of months, you will be able to get your first freelance gig, $1,000. You absolutely will be able to do that. All right, so on the website of the bootcamp, you'll find a couple of student testimonial. And yeah, and so basically, I'd like you to be the next success story so that I can put you on the testimonials page of our bootcamp. So let's recap what we have in the bootcamp. Okay, so we have the core curriculum. So you have the live classes. You will have access to all of them. Then you will have access to the code review, which is great for learning. Then you have access to the recording of the lecture. Then you have a lifetime access to our private community. And then you have a review of your Upwork, LinkedIn, and GitHub. So it's $750, and this is for 1 month bootcamp, and we have 23 seats available only. So if you want to register, eattheblogs.com/bootcamp. All right, so let's do the FAQ. So guys, any question about the bootcamp? All right, so let me scroll up a little bit. So what do we have here? All right, let me see what we have. Let me see. Let me see. Totaling ARC. I always want to register. Awesome. Surav, is learning Solana Dev instead of Ethereum worth it? No, just learn Ethereum. All right. When does it start? So it starts on May 20th. So it's in it's in 2 weeks. Yeah. But basically, the sign up is going to end at the end of the week. So yeah, you need to sign up before. All right. Does blockchain developer need to know backend? No, you don't. Well, I mean, there are different flavor of blockchain dev, but if you do Solidity development, which is what I recommend, you don't need to know backend. Then what else we have? Any other question about the bootcamp? So all right, so actually if you don't have any question, I will mention a couple of questions. So does the Solidity Bootcamp covers everything you need to become a Solidity developer? Yes, absolutely. We will teach you everything that you need to know. How much time do I need to fill the bootcamp? So about 10 hours per week. And that will be necessary to attend the sessions and also to do the homework. How long does it take to find your first gig as a Solidity developer? So I would say a lot of our students just find their first gig in a couple of weeks, but to be very conservative, let's just say that within 3 months, you're pretty much guaranteed to have your first gig. Can we find freelance work as a junior Solidity developer? Yeah. So basically, freelancing is a lower barrier to entry compared to getting a getting a full-time job. So of course you can get started as junior. So maybe you'll find some freelance customer that will tell you that you need to be senior or whatever. So they are like. There are people who are full of shit everywhere. So sometimes you'll find some customers like this, but this is not all of them. Some other customers are just more realistic, and they know that they can only get junior. If they want senior, they need to pay more, and they don't have this budget. All of them don't have the budget for a senior. So in a lot of cases, yeah, absolutely doable. What are the prerequisites to take the bootcamp? Nothing really. You can get started as a beginner. We'll teach you everything. Will I get some help if I'm stuck in the bootcamp? Yeah. So the whole point of the bootcamp is to provide some help. So during each live class, this is basically be on a Zoom call, and yeah, you can interrupt at any time and ask any question you want. We also gonna do exercises during these live classes. So if you're stuck, if you don't know how to solve the exercise, you can ask a question. Then we have the code review, so you have the homework to do, where we're gonna give you some feedback. Then you have a Discord where you can also reach out to us. So many opportunity to get feedback really. What if I'm not happy with the program? Okay, well, very good answer. So first of all, you can check out all of our testimonials to see what other people, other students think about it. But on top of it, we also offer you a 7 days money back guarantee. So basically zero risk. All right, so to register, eattheblocks.com/bootcamp. Okay, so I see we have some more activity in the chat. Blockchain Ninja, what about zero knowledge dev as a freelancer? I didn't see a lot of requests for that on Upwork. Interesting niche, but it's clearly more difficult. Yeah, so you could try, but I think still very early. Totaling ARC, great content, Julian. Always very informative. Thank you so much. Do you cover CCIP? You mean the channeling thing? We cover Oracle, so we don't cover specifically channeling, but with basically with the knowledge that you'll get in the bootcamp, you will be able to. It will be enough foundation that later you can use channeling. Bharat, our Web3 job welcoming dev from Web2 world. Yeah, so not all of them, but if this is a job where there is a heavy front-end component, like for example, a full stack blockchain dev, of course, in this case, if you have a background in Web2, it's very helpful. So Karin, oh man, I have first week of June where I won't be near a computer. Guess that's not okay. Well, if it's just 1 week, this is doable. So basically, you get access to all of our recordings. So some students follow the bootcamp in a asynchronous way, and same thing for Discord. You know, we don't need. It doesn't need to be live all the time. So if it's just 1 week, I think this is doable. When is the last day for joining this bootcamp? So it will be Friday. Yeah. Okay, and so just to recap, so this bootcamp, this is basically this is a special edition. Okay, so this is special edition completely for beginner to help you to get your first freelance gig. So we've never done a bootcamp like this before. And yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna do the same program in the future. And so this is what makes it so interesting, especially the module where we're gonna teach you how to build a token from A to Z, because now with this, you can go to Upwork and you can get your first freelance gig and you get your foot in the door. And from there, you will be able to build your blockchain career. But some people, they spend years without finding this first freelance gig, and so we really help you to get your foot in the door. All right, can we pay in installment? Yes, so okay, so I will put a link for the installment. Okay, I'll put. Someone say I don't have the money to buy, how can I get in? So maybe with installment. Okay, so I'll put the link for installment. Just give me a second. I will give you this link right away. So we have an option to pay with 3 months payment. So 1 payment per month. Let me see this. All right, just give me 1 second. I'm finding this link somewhere. Okay, it's there. Yeah, the link for the installment. All right, guys. Is there any last question? What is totaling LC? What is I stake your money in my DApp? I don't understand the question. Could you re-explain what you mean? Pay in crypto? Oh yeah, so for people who want to pay in crypto, it's possible to do it as well. So I'm gonna give you the link here. Crypto payment. All right. And I'm also going to put all those links in the live description. Yeah, so different option, either in one time with credit card, several times, a 3 months payment with credit card, or with crypto. All right, and we have a 7 days money back guarantee. Okay, guys, so if there's no more question, we're gonna stop here. So thanks everybody for coming today, and yeah, looking forward to have you in the bootcamp. All right, have a good day, everybody. Bye.